game there, sitting behind Alex, and sort of paid off. Well, not the way I wanted it to, but...
All right, we'll catch up for a beer tonight, and thank you, boys and girls. And we got Superbikes on the grid. Over to you, Neil Ritchie.
Underground Brown and our Superbike race about to fire up there at the moment. Sloan Frost looking the sharpest down there. Of course, he has been unbeatable so far. This has been 2 victories. He's looking for 3 in a row. But the most important one, of course, he'd never won here before. It had been his little omen of a track, but he certainly pushed all that aside. And now here he goes for the big one. Yes, indeed, over 20 laps. This will be the New Zealand Grand Prix, the most prestigious race within a race of any of our exploits in New Zealand. We have the TTs in the Grand Prix, but there's just something about this GP, and of course something about being here at the Mike Perry Motorsport Park in this exceptional venue, a great club motorcycle in Canterbury, again setting standards in running quality events in New Zealand and getting huge participation. 158 entries this weekend, making it super spectacular and a great icon for everybody to follow. But there it is, indeed, the Chopper Frost show, and somebody fading very badly. Problem here, I think that's Andrew. I think it's Andrew Stroud. He's just lost 5, 6, 7 places, so something going on there, but he's still on the bike, he's still riding, he still looks to be sitting there, as it were, straight up and down, or is that even more? No, I think he's getting slower and slower, and I'm only predicting it's Andrew from that distance. Just looks to be his colours, his style, but and he's very upright, so he's not laying down, but he's still riding with him, but just not racing with him at the moment. Maybe we're going to see him come back. He's looking back behind him. Is he going to peel off to the inside? He's going to rejoin through there, unconfirmed, but we'll come back to that one shortly. But certainly at the moment, we call him Chopper. He is Mr. Sloan Frost. 25 years since I've been commentating Chopper and riding. First started out as a junior motocross star, came from Northland originally, down through Tauranga, and now in Wellington on the Fujitsu heat pump sponsored TSS Red Baron Suzuki 1000, and Sloan Frost, ladies and gentlemen, having an absolutely dynamic year with a win in the Suzuki Series, and going all the way now with this one as we look back to Scott Moyer, Go Taupo, with James Smith in there, Alistair Hugenboos, and John Ross from Tony Rees, Jake Lewis, Toby Summers, James Hugenboos from Dylan Telford, Dan Ormsby, along with Aaron Scott, Ray Clee, and Andrew Stroud. Yes, indeed, and Andrew. And look at that fact that he's back there in our field. He's also just drifting right off from a point of view of the distance as well. So something definitely has gone wrong. He looked so good right up till the hairpin. He was in second place, and all of a sudden it's like the handbrake went on. And no, it's not his wife. It's something gone wrong with his racing out there. So sad, bad luck indeed for whatever the reason. More importantly, he's on the bike. He's still upright. Maybe is he getting something sorted? Maybe he's realising, hey, I can still ride this one out. He knows it's a GP, he knows it's 20 laps, and he might be in 15th place, but he still wants a chance of it and a chunk of it. We'll be soon to find out. So here we go, the Underground Brown Superbikes, but it's all on at the moment. We've watched those other races, seen what Sloan Frost has been able to do. Pull out the buffer. He's got a narrow one there at the moment and doing it oh so well. But I tell you what, Taupo, Scott Moy have been waiting for the Penny Holmes man to perform on this brilliant Promoto supported Suzuki, and maybe this is the opportunity. Scott has not been to the same extent as he was 12 months ago, I believe, in his racing, and there's been a few different things about that, including the fact that it's been a change of motorcycle, and you don't literally hop on a bike and go straight into winning formula. Hey, just look at the man in front of him. He's taken a lot to get where they are. These two riders, just 2 years ago, they were vying for 3rd place. Here they are now vying for 3rd place. All on for the GP at the moment. Sloan Frost out in front, going back to Scott Moy. A much better ride this time as we look out for local man James Scott in there, fellow Ken Tab and John Ross going to the 43 that time of Alistair Hugenboosum, the Triple R racing man there on the Clive Barrington construction Triple R Honda CPR 1000 RR, followed then by Tony Rees on a similar bike, going to Toby Summers, of course, first of the riders now in our Super Stock 1000 class. So good work by Toby. He's been the front runner in that class and should come through with the GP title. One would expect, one would hope for his efforts out there. But Spider, you've been looking, observing, seeing what's going on. Any idea what's happened out there with the disappointment of Andrew?
Well, I remember a couple of years ago, about 4 years ago, he ended up with about 60 PSI in his front tyre. Andrew Stroud did. They forgot to drop it to the correct tyre pressure, and he picked up on that. So the big thing is he has the experience to work that out. Something's wrong with his bike and slow off there. I guess no one wants to hope for bad luck, but Andrew Stroud may be praying that this race is red flag so he can sort out the problem and get back out there. But I'll tell you what, who's on fire at the moment? We've got to look now to Toby Summers, mate. He's the first of the Super Stock 1000 class, the lower spec bikes, but he's putting in a massive 131.886. The top 4 Superbikes are in the 131, then we go to 132. So Toby Summers suffering from diarrhea this weekend and has got a bit of a stomach bug, but the man is on fire, both ends of his body.
All right, back to the Rock FM Australian Super Sweeper, and it's all on for Sloane Frost as Sloane keeps it fired up. And we head down the front straight here at the Mike Pero Motorsport Park. Great bit of racing going on. Sloane Frost in front. Scott Moyer much better. Looking out for James Smith, then go to John Ross as we head them through there. So at this stage, looking at it bike-wise, we've got 3 Suzukis and a Honda, and amongst that top 4, remembering the last podium was Suzuki with the fabulous GSXR 1000 range. And remembering, of course, the new 2017 bike, the new concept bike that everybody's talking about. You want to check it out in your latest copy of Suzuki Fest, and this amazing bike. Of course, it prototyped at the European Motorcycle Show at Milan late last year, and everybody's talking about it and just what it's going to do to set new standards in World Superbike racing. So bring it on for 2017 with Suzuki, but at the moment it's still Suzuki, Honda Suzuki here in New Zealand, and our Underground Brown sponsored Superbike title. Remembering with Underground Brown, of course, all of that technology, because now it's trenchless, it's construction, it's resourcing, it's directional drilling, and it's as their catchphrase go, yes, we're boring everywhere. Underground Brown, your underground technology experts, taking us through, and Spider looking just across there at the moment. Just get the idea at the moment, Sloane hasn't been able to pull those gaps like
oh, mate, I'll tell you what, he hasn't done that at the moment, but on fire at the moment. The Canterbury man, the current lap record holder still for the 600 class. John Ross is now half a second quicker than anyone else on the track. He's dropped into the 1:36.36. The lap record is still held by Dan Stowe for the Australian on a 1:30.023. So 1:36.36 in 4th place. John Ross is on fire. Had a tough season last year, but he's not dropped off this freight train of 4 bikes. It still is Suzuki, Honda, Suzuki. That may change. It looks like Scotty Boy is trying up. No, not trying on the inside now, trying on the outside to go past Sloane Frost. Scotty Boyer has plenty of experience under his belt, had a couple of tough races at Wanganui, went into the hay bales once and clipped the hay bale and slowed down, crashed at the other one. But what I'm trying to say here is he won at Wanganui the season before, and I've seen him lead New Zealand Superbike Championship races. He's got what it needs on the penny home, Suzuki GSXR 1000. So James Smith also into the 1:30, set his personal best there in the race. A 1:30, so is Tony Rees there on the number 11 bike in the 1:31s. But Toby Summers still there on the number 22 bike. He's the fastest of the Superstock 1000s, followed by Jake Lewis there, the 29 bike. Dylan Telford showing twice on the screen. He's got 2 transponders on board, and Dan Olmsley's 4th in that class, just ahead of Ray Clee, 14th. But Ray Clee is in the full Superbike class. So what action out the front. Sloane Frost cleared off in the last race, but not got it all his own way at the moment. So it's still Suzuki. James Smith on the Honda on the 77 machine, and James Smith expecting to be a father about April as well. So congratulations to him and Jenny with the breeding plan, and he's right now got to concentrate on his racing, who's in front of him, but also the fast man John Ross in behind.
Those times are unbelievable. Yes, indeed, they are 1:30.636 and 1:30.999, and the lap record is a 1:30.023, set by Australian Dan Stauffer on the Bernard Racing Yamaha 1000 4 years ago. So they're within 1 second of that lap record. Not the most perfect conditions for lap records, with a bit of a wind here today, and also the fact that although it's warm, it's not warm enough potentially. But there you go, these guys with the pressure on, great to watch. Now, as you look across there, you can see the silhouette past it, Castrol Edge and down into a pothole that you've just got chopping. Now starting to pull out that fraction of a buffer. But there it is with Scott Moyer, a different Scott Moyer, a better Scott Moyer. Maybe it's with the likes of Rex Mitchell, who was dropped out of his own racing, told me earlier when I walked past him, his own mistake. But maybe with the likes of a Rex and a few others behind him, he's just starting to get that little bit more that's making a difference. I think something big has happened for Scott Moyer, because we've not seen Scott as good as this through the previous racing. So just starting to get it right in the race that counts to get on the podium for the GP as we're going for it. Here's 4 of them. They've bolted clear. If it's not going to be any of these 4, it means that something's going to dramatically change in the remaining laps. And hey, that's not impossible with 15 to go. But what I can tell you is that these 4 are vying for 3 places on the podium. From top to bottom, they are only, as that margin is, 0.6 of 1 second, less than 1 second for it through there at the moment. So keen to look out as we go down towards it at the moment. Keen to pick up. Is that the change coming about? You betcha it is. John Ross making the moves. And coming up there ahead of the 77. New father-to-be in James Smith, and part of Triple R as we go to the collisions. Holland's Collision Centre, Suzuki on board there, courtesy of Repsol of John Ross, and he now is out after Scott Moyer. So Scott Moyer potentially the next victim. Now we saw it in the last race that at one stage John Ross, he got himself up into 2nd, but he was in 7th place. So he was the most improved, the man doing most of the moves, the man who after a terrible start had then made up the most ground. And he looked the same at the moment. He did a fifth earlier on. He was quickly into fourth. Now he's gone for the third. And look out, Scott Moyer, because if you're not going to pick it up and go fast, there's a man right behind you. So look at that. The two visitors, the two North Islanders are in the front, Wellington and Taupo. And then we go back to the two Canterbury men with now John Ross ahead of James Scott. Remember looking out for our class within the class, the super stock, that word stock. These are not super bikes, they're super stock. They are out of the showroom. That's the difference. And we have at the moment in Toby Summers leading that lineup ahead of local star Jake Lewis on the Stadium Finance Avon City Suzuki, followed then by Dan Ormsby, the local motorcycle trainer extraordinaire, running in third place in our super stock class. So in fact, three different bikes as well, with a Kawasaki, a Suzuki and a Yamaha in our super stock 1000, the class within the class, but it's all on for the supers out in front. Super bikes, super fast, super exciting. 1, 2, 3, 4 heading through the dipper, down with Dunlop, and that is Chopper Frost in front, right in there at the moment to then our second place, Scott Moyer, going to John Ross and James Smith. How many laps would you say before John can get past Scott on that one, Spider?
Well, I don't know. There's not much in it out on the track, and about 0.2 of a second quicker last lap was John Ross, but in fact there's 10,000ths of a second between those two lap times, so 10,000ths of a second, not enough to even get almost beside him, but John Ross has got many laps around here. He's a Canterbury man.
There it is, there's a change. He's made it second, the top of Flexoplast. He's gone through, so Ross is up there. Ross to make the move, so John Ross into second place. So John did, and he went right around the outside on Flexoplast. Was not the easiest place to do that overtaking, so well done to John Ross. He's moved up into the lead. Look out, Sloane Frost. Look out, Sloane Frost, because John Ross just got faster and faster as the last race went on, and I'm seeing him to now start to close that gap down. Sloane Frost not making the big break on the rest as we might have expected him to have done. So he knows he was cool, calm and collected in the last interview to know that he's still got this third one to win. He's won numbers 1 yesterday and already the one today, so the third and final, and the one that counts, the GP, the one that we'll all remember, who won the GP title, and it is the Sloane Frost advantage at the moment. But as Spider is well picked up for you, the fastest man there is John Ross, and getting in front of Scott Moyer to move to second place, and then right back there at the moment, James Smith to keep all of those three in the front very honest. Through Dunlop Dipper, and the hot shots perform. Still no change amongst our super stock field as we look out to Toby Summers, 7th overall, Jake Lewis 9th overall, Dan Ormsby 13th overall, mixed in amongst our underground brown superbikes.
Toby Summers certainly having the race of the weekend. We're joined in the next box, next to the commentary box, by wife Kirsten and daughters Emmy and Ursula. Last year they joined us and the kids were playing on the PlayStation. Now they're glued to the racetrack with the speeding daddy out there, number 22 on the Kawasaki ZX10, the man that's moved up, one of the three men that's moved up from the 600s to Superbikes. We've also got Alistair Hugenboozem on the 43 machine and James Hugenboozem on the M1 Motorsport Valvoline sponsored Bridgestone tyres. I think he's the only person running Bridgestone tyres this season. James Hugenboozem sitting there in 10th place, but certainly Toby Summers in the 31s. Tony Rees and Andrew Stroud have just set the fastest laps of their race as well into the 31s. But
to go back to the Andrew story as well, Spider, remembering we saw him drop back, he went to 15th. There he is, by the way. He's in at 8th place, and setting that fastest lap. So whatever was wrong earlier on, he's noted it. He's maybe has he corrected it partly or fully, but when he's coming back with his best time at a 1:31.0, not too bad when you think that that's only a second off the lap record. So storming his way back. So he's effectively gone past James, Dylan, Dan, Ray and Aaron.
Well, I'm wondering that's a sort of classic move when somebody on the road get a text. Maybe he's got a text and slowed down. No, I don't think it's that. It's the experience of the 9 times New Zealand Superbike champion, working out the problem with his bike, whatever it is, and managing that. And even he's sitting 8th on the track in the class. The only person in front of him from the Superstock is Toby Summers, so it's still a 7th place finish if he finishes in this position. So it still is valuable points for the 9 times New Zealand Superbike champion. Okay, John Ross, a 1:30.6.5 of a second quicker than Sloane Frost. It's showing on the track. There's probably 6 to 7 bike lengths. The classic corner for John Ross coming out of the Flexi Pass. He's made some moves there before. He closes up on Sloane Frost. They come into the Icon corner. You'll see him closing up there. This is all about braking. The drive will be on to the hairpin, but in the box seat behind them, in 3rd spot, Scotty Moyer on the number 7 Penny Holmes.
Well, I'll tell you what, when they went past there before, James Smith was right on the tail of Scott Moyer. Now when we look over there's 10 bike lengths between them. So something's happened. Either Scott's found the pull button, or unfortunately James will be tiring because he's had the flu all week and he's pretty well worn out. He's
sat out most of Friday for this very reason. So that's what I would suspect will be the issue with James. And good to see Tony Rees out there, and very good to see young Damon Rees after that massive crash in the 600 Supersport. He's sitting there in the pits with his foot up there, and he's not the happiest of boys, but he's not in an ambulance going away. So that's very, very important. Out to the leaders. They're coming up towards the dipper. A couple of corners beforehand. We have a lap, and they're coming across shortly. That should happen in the Rock FM sweeper coming onto the front straight. We've got 11 laps to go in the New Zealand Superbike Grand Prix here at Ruapuna for the 2016 Superbike Series. You can watch this later on Ctas. A lot of people watching at the moment. A chat room going on there. You can get the free footage later on. Once you keep an eye, Grant Collingwood would load this up, and you can watch this race later on. I'm certainly going to sit down this week on the laptop and have a look at what's going on. Back to lap times, a 1:31.257 for the man in second place, Johnny Ross, with a 1:31.389, so 0.1 of a second quicker than Sloane Frost. They go into turn one there, and they've closed up maybe 1 to 2 bikings. Not quite enough to get a pounce on it as they come across another lap, and Neil Ritchie.
Well, look, there we go. In fact, James Smith in his time with that last lap was a 1:33. It is best to be a 1:30.99. So he's dropped, nearly 3 seconds through there. So something had definitely gone on during that lap. So it wasn't the same James Smith. That's just given the buffer back to Scott Moyer. I don't think Scott in the class of Sloane or John that are out in front, but who knows, they could get that close and it could open a gate. And quite often with a bit of a duel going on and putting block passes on, it can actually slow the race pace down with those front two, and that could just see that the likes of Scott Moyer, he should think that those two out in front are not in the perfect position. He can capitalise. Do not drop back and make sure you're still there to run. Who knows, by the end of it he could make the pounce and get any one of them should there be a millisecond instant involved.
There were big questions at the beginning of the weekend whether indeed these Superbike tyres, they're an SCO, the zero compound rating for Pirelli, but everyone's saying they're different from last year's SCOs. There was a big question mark over whether they would last the 20 laps. We're 10 laps, we're halfway through. The riders got together, shall we make it a 15 lap, but they've all opted to do the full 20 laps, so maybe tyre deterioration may become an issue later on in the race, but right now, coming along, 10 laps to go, it'll be 9 after they come across the start-finish line. It's a TSS Red Baron-sponsored Fujitsu GSXR 1000. He's opened up a bit more of a gap. It was 0.528, no, it was a bit more than that before, but 0.528, and indeed, it's 0.3 of a second quicker there. Sloane Frost over and above John Ross. Scotty Moyer in the 1:32s. James Smith is back in the 1:31s, a 1:31.8, so maybe James Smith can reel in the Suzuki GSXR 1000 of Scotty Moore. You can see those two bikes going into the ICOM corner way over on the back straight as the lead bikes go into the hairpin. 9 laps to go.
We had the privilege of having the New Zealand police along here before, and they use their radar. Normally when you see a cop with a radar you cringe and say, oh, is that me? Well, we didn't have to worry about that because we're not racing, we're watching and listening, and what it was more important to do was to see the speed of these guys. Superbikes had 278 kilometres per hour. You heard it, 278. That's over 150 mile an hour. Unbelievable to see. Of course, that would be a mega ticket. That would obviously be an impoundment and a mega disqualification. But luckily, it's on the racetrack that is Mike Perro Motorsport Park, and it's fantastic to see. And thanks to the New Zealand Police for getting on board with us, partnering with us to provide safer roads for all of those involved, cars, bikes, and everybody. So great to see them on board with us today. So there you go, 278, the fastest speed recorded by Sloane Frost out on the racetrack. The Underground Brown Superbikes in flying good form. Underground Brown, remembering South Island's leading resource for directional drilling and trenchless technology. Yes, we're boring. And through the dipper they go. And there it is, the Suzuki in front. We have the Suzuki, of course, also back in second place, and then we're going to look to the Suzuki 1, 2, 3. We're going to take the third, and now looking for the there it is with James on board there. That next group to go through, here they are now, and keen to look out for. We go to the 11th spotted in there, and I'll tell you what, that is Andrew coming behind him. You betcha it is, you betcha it is. Andrew Stroud behind Tony Rees, and looking, it could have gone the other way, looking to see which way it's gone. Andrew Stroud, has he made it stick? Yes. Has he made it stick? And, yes, he has, you betcha. In fact, look out, because I tell you what, now, Alistair Hugenboos in 43 for the Honda Triple R Racing Moto2 Alpine Star rider, and he might make it stick, and there he is, his favourite corner up on the inside towards the hairpin. Stroud on the far side, Andrew, overshoot, too fast, and he's lost all of that good work that was done. He's lost his placing, back there to Tony Rees. Well, I tell you what, that's an uncharacteristic mistake, a very good place that we know Stroud is so good, but obviously too hot, too fast into there, and the brakes weren't able to pull up in time. He overshot. Luckily, still staying on the task heel, but he was 5 metres out from the pole line on the inside, and let alone the fact that he was putting a front wheel up on the inside of Alistair Hugenboosum. It was the fact, give it back to Tony Rees. So Tony Rees will say, thank you. You want to go that fast? You want to make that kind of mistake? I'll take it back. More importantly, though, this is Andrew Stroud lying in second place into lap number 2. All of a sudden, something happened out of the hip, and it went on like a handbrake, and he went back into last place, drifted right off, but he was still riding, and whatever he's done, he's been able to self-correct, and he's been working his way back. From 15th place, he's all the way back to 7th. It could have been actually as high as 5th. It was 6th at one stage. So cutting and thrusting all the way. Oh, look at that. Here we go. James on to Scott. James Smith getting up there. Come on, Canterbury, you've been very quiet today. Do you want to see the Taupo man win it? Yes, hell, he might deserve it, but come on, there's got to be a little bit of local parochialism. Come on, get it behind him. On to Flexoclass, down past Castrol Edge, into Icon. We're looking at this stage, and there's the update. The flying good ride. Taupo's Scott Moyer on the Penny Home Suzuki, staying just in front of local Triple R racer in James Smith. But I tell you what, James must have been able to reach out and touch him. They went through that close together over there, and as all this goes on, that's the fight for 3rd place. We look at a fantastic battle going on for the lead in the run through with the 3 of Sloane Frost and the 6 of John Ross. And now looking back at the other way, and look at that. Oh, there he is, Andrew back. He's got both of them. He's had both of them over that last lap. We just go to look over at Fulton Hogan, and there it is. Andrew Stroud has overtaken both the boys again. So, wow, how about that? First of all, obviously, back past Tony Rees. Now he's got the fellow Honda of Alistair Hugenboosum. So he is in 5th place when they come past this time. Sloane Frost, John Ross, Scott Moyer, James Smith go to Andrew Stroud ahead of Alistair Hugenboosum and Tony Rees.
Okay, the incredible part about it is Andrew Stroud made a mistake on the hairpin in the last lap and run wide. He'd already passed Tony Rees coming up towards there and went into the same manoeuvre as he'd done the lap before. Remember, he's got a problem with his bike. That's what's slowing him down. We've been talking about that most of the race long, but still have the confidence to go in underneath James Smith, underneath Alistair Hugenboosum for that position. So as they go across the start-finish line, 6 laps to go, 0.666 seconds between the two. Hey, look at this, 1:31.483 for Sloane Frost, a 1:31.483 for John Ross, matching each other for lap times down to the 1,000ths of a second, exactly the same lap times. Mate, that's incredible.
But in fact, it is so close to 0.8 of a second of what they've previously done. So maybe there's just that hint of tyre wear coming into it. After all, it's only 6 laps to go. That means 14 down of this big 20-lapper, the longest race outside of any endurance kind of event. So the Grand Prix, longest race duration, 20 laps. This is the longest racetrack in New Zealand here at Mike Perry Motorsports Park at 4.04 kilometres. So a lot of ground to cover here over this time. So great to watch. A beautiful anti-clockwise circuit for those that aren't aware of this one. All the South Island circuits are anti-clockwise, just as Taupo is, where you've got Manfield, Hampton Downs and Pukekohe, all as clockwise road race circuits. And of course there are some other less recognised main event circuits, but that's generally the update of what we have with all of them. Down through, we watch through the Dipper, and the bike fight's still on there at the moment. Nothing there away between them. Still the Chopper show. Great to watch. We call him Chopper, and in fact it's nice to see that on his Fujitsu truck that he carts all his gear and the bike around. He's still got Chopper as his number plate. So most people only know him as Sloane. In the road racing fraternity, he got his nickname Chopper way back in his kids era when he was about 9 years of age, and it's stuck with many of us, and we still know him and respect him for that. Man, oh man, is this guy putting on an amazing race display. He thoroughly deserves his previous 2 wins. He'll deserve this one, but I'm sure Canterbury won't mind if he doesn't win this one. But the Wellingtonian on fire and looking in good form, getting that voodoo off his back as well, never having won here at Ruapuna before. He's not just won 1 but 2, and now on the way to his 3rd. Can he do it from here, Spider Staples?
Well, I'm not too sure. I noticed his rear end fishtailing as he come out of the right-hander in the middle of the field in front of us, and that I'm wondering where the tyre wear is starting to play a part in it. John Ross is 0.2 of a second quicker there on the track. He's got to get up to him and he's got to get past. They go through some lappers of that, so maybe that. James Hugenboosum is coming through the field in 10th place. I said he's not struggling to get used to this bike. He's slowly catching monkey, but the last lap he put in his fastest lap of the race. So James Hugenboosum on the BMW M1 Motorsport Valvoline sponsor machine coming through the field. Tony Rees has just put in his fastest lap of the race. Now, he was the man that slowed right to about 8th or 9th yesterday, and he said my tyre just went off, even in a 10-lap race. we've done about 15 laps so far. So 5 laps to go. Remember, tyre deterioration may play a part. The Sloan Frost machine just making a break, coming out of the dipper there. It was closer to the last lap, but now there's 50, 60 metres between first and second, over and above John Ross. So we wait for them to come down on the start-finish straight. They're coming around the Rock FM corner. Wait to see what's going on with the lap time. So maybe Sloan's just put the head down, seen his lap times, or maybe Scotty Moyer is slowing a little bit. In fact, he's dropped into the 1:32.3, so maybe his tyres are going off. That's Johnny Ross. James Smith on a 1:31.9, unfortunately 5 seconds down there in third place, so no chance of getting through there, but Scotty Moyer in fourth place, getting come through, maybe Neil Ritchie.
Well, but hey, he's been into that third for so long and doing all the work. I tell you what, Scott needs to look at. Andrew Stroud in fifth place. He was 15th place. That is now, 14 laps ago. 14 laps ago, he was in 15th place. That is absolutely amazing. So come on, folks, Andrew Stroud, he'd love to get on the podium. He's got some work to do to get there, but it is not impossible, not impossible. But I tell you what, 4 laps to run for these big boys. Sloan Frost trying to keep the immaculate record, 1:11. He's going for it at the moment with a 1:1 and a first placing. Not yet the first victory, with John Ross in there from James Smith. So well done. Wellington, Canterbury, Taupo ahead of Hamilton, Canterbury, Whakatane, Auckland in there, along with Canterbury, Manawatu, Horowhenua / Otaki for Dylan Telford, Dan Orsby, Canterbury, Ray Clee, Auckland, Lee Munro, of course. Now Lee Munro, when we put it all into context as well, of course we've got another class within the class as well, because we've called it the Muzzers Bikes Superbike B. We've had Rob Thompson, Gordon Wilcox, Jaden Scott, Kevin Beaumont, and this man Lee Munro. Now these guys don't want to be up in the echelon of the top championship. They're not out for that. They're out just to do a ride. They're not going to be doing all 4 rounds on their bike. So the Panigale Top Shot Ducati Flyer and Lee Munro out there, the best in the Muzzers Bikes Superbike B group here today. But it is the Sloan Frost show, hanging at the moment as we go and get all fired up for the run through. There is the 7 to go past as we watch them, and you can see that by their numbers on their bike. 3, 6, 7. The 10 of Andrew Stroud, of course, will throw that away because Andrew's just picked up a number again, has been out for, in fact, it was 4 years since he'd raced here at Ruapuna, he noted to us. So numbers 3 from last year, 6 from last year, 7 from last year. They're our single-digit races. The top men of racing, of course, a number of retirements over the last couple of years of some of our hot shots has seen that an opportunity for these guys to make up for it. And I tell you what, it's as if nothing's gone away. If those first and second from last year was still here, Jaden Hassan with Sloan Frost, that would have been some amazing battles. And the reason we can reflect on that is because we know what the times have been doing for these guys. So great to see. And Jaden, I'm sure the pressure would have been right on for him, Spider.
Yeah, definitely. And another fastest lap for James Hoogenboozem on the Bridgestone tyres shod BMW, and also Alistair Hoogenboozem on the number 43 machine, putting in a 1:31.482. So Alistair getting faster and faster. Sloan Frost out in the front, a 1:31.657. John Ross is a little bit quicker. He dropped off to the 32s, but he's now back into the 31 mark as we peel off another lap. 3 laps to go, and we can see them. I think that's him coming out of the hairpin dipper, is it, for the first and second bikes?
Yeah, in fact, there we go. There's overtaking. There goes. There's the move made by Andrew Stroud. I think that's Andrew Stroud. Is that making a move? No, it may not have been. Thought Andrew then will get an idea of what we've got there. Keen to look out for Andrew. Was he doing the overtaking? Was he?
No, not quite there. He's just in front of Alistair Hoogenboozem there. And Alistair Hoogenboozem putting another fastest lap of the race. So Al Hoogenboozem going around a 1:31.4, and Andrew Stroud just in the low 1:31.6s, a 1:31.599. So it's playing out on the track. We see them going into the Icon corner. The Suzuki first, not Honda. Remember, this is not the normal Andrew Stroud. He's normally out in the front. We've got a problem with the bike, but look how he's managed it. That's the amazing thing, how he's managed. He's just closed right up in that hairpin, right on the tail of Scotty Moyer. There was probably 80 metres as they went through the start-finish stripe, and now they're down at one stage 2 to 3 bike lengths. It opens up to maybe 5 bike lengths, but there's Alistair Hoogenboozem there, right in behind Andrew Stroud.
Jake's
absolutely
just
sensational racing.
Jake, unsure whether you know anything. Did you know what was up with Dad in the early part of the race? Any ideas?
It's quite hard to know from this far away, but one of my guesses is that he's just a little bit tired and he didn't really want to fight for win today, so he's wanted to come from behind just to give the people a bit of a show.
Okay. Okay, well, there we go. Well, there you go. It's another story, another slant we hadn't put onto it. Don't quite think it was one, but hey,
all right.
Possible.
There might be pudding view for 9, or there might be not. It might be the naughty corner for saying something like that. For the man to drop right off to 15th place, yeah, maybe not, but certainly he's got confidence in his motorcycle again. There it is, Sloane Frost. We got the white flag out, Sloane Frost, a 1:31.4. Can he make it a perfect 3 out of 3?
Somebody down. We've got him outside of the hairpin. Somebody down over there, late in the race. Don't think it was one of our front runners. And
that is Dan Ormsby, but it definitely is upright. Dan Ormsby, remember he had a massive crash here on the pothole corner last year. A massive crash in the Superbike class, but Dan Ormsby's down. The important thing is back up. We're on the final lap. There goes Toby Summers, now in 8th place on the track in the first of the super stock bikes, followed by Jake Lewis there in 2nd place. Had a crash yesterday. Jake on the 29 machine. Dylan Telford, 3rd in that class on the 20 machine, the RSV4.
Yeah, John's right up and there, so watching out there, we go through the Christchurch Casino Carousel and looking out to it. Could be a change come up. There's a leper in there playing an intriguing role as we look for it. In fact, the leper doing the right thing. There's nothing wrong with what you do. You just got to hold your line, but all of a sudden it does make a difference as we look out for it. A leper won't be a difference at this point. I think that leper might have been, no, I'm not going to say it because I'm not quite sure, but more importantly, we go to Sloane and we go to John, and there we are through the dipper for the final time. Beautiful tuck right down in there. Through it, in fact, at the moment, of all of that, it looked as if Sloane Frost had lost more in that run with the leper, but all of a sudden that advantage has extended back out. I just get the idea. Sloane Frost, ladies and gentlemen, you won't see him put his hand in the air. You won't see a wheelie across the line. This man has had the crowd down here getting on their feet. Look at that for Sloane. Here we go. Number 3 to do it, the checker flag, and Sloane Frost to do it. Congratulations. 3 in a row here today, and the New Zealand Grand Prix with John Ross coming home in a 2nd place, 1.007 behind him. You've talking 1 second after what has been 30 minutes and 44 seconds of racing. That is mega to come down to that kind of margin. Super fast, super close, super exciting as we look out to James Smith coming through then in the 3rd place, followed by Andrew Stroud, who did get up there. Al Hugenboozem and Scott Moyer ended up by fading away to a 6th place. Tony Rees to come through. You're talking 1st to 7th at 16.97. So